When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged thinking all is lost, just count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Are you ever burdened with a load of care? Does your cross seem heavy you are called to bear? Just count your many blessings, every doubt will fly, and you will be singing as the days go by. Just count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. So count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done.
Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on our Wednesday afternoon midweek faith chat. We normally have a faith guest on with us on Wednesdays, and I am just absolutely honored. We're always grateful to have new guests with us today, but this one I'm really, really thrilled about. I've had the privilege to meet Arthur a few times, and I've followed their group for many, many years, and since I've been here in Tennessee. And for those of you that live in our East Tennessee area, if you've ever been to Dollywood and you've gone to the theater there where they have the gospel music, you see this group, the Kingdom Heirs, and we are just honored this afternoon to have Arthur Rice with us. Now, he's the president of the Southern Gospel Music Association and head of the Kingdom Heirs Quartet. You hear their music on Saturday night, a lot of you, and I am just really honored to have him. So before I become a bad host, which I'm accused of being all the time, let me welcome Mr. Rice, Mr. Arthur Rice, to the program. Arthur, it's such a pleasure to have you today. Looking forward to this discussion with you, buddy. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Buddy, it's good to have you. We were sort of laughing a little bit about it, about the new casino coming to Tennessee. Now, we heal people, we get bored up here, so don't judge us too bad for the moonshine, and now we're going to have casinos here, so we just live a boring life up here, don't we, man? I mean,
That's right. That's right.
What can we do here in the hills beside gamble and drink moonshine, I guess? Hey, let me tell everybody, Arthur has been, he's been president of the Southern Gospel Music Association about 8 years, but he's been with the Kingdom Heirs 27 years. And they've been at Dollywood. It's hard to believe. When the park opens in March, they'll be there for 37 years. That's an unreal number. And gospel music. My dad used to sing, and I knew that's a big number when it comes to longevity, because these groups come and go, and that's a real testimony to you guys, and I'm just grateful for you. But tell us a little bit about yourself, because this is your first time, and just introduce yourself to everybody and tell everybody, about yourself and when you got into gospel music, and we'll go from there. It's good to have you today.
Sure. Thank you. Well, I was born and raised in Asheville, North Carolina, and my dad used to teach singing schools and sang in various quartets and things. And my mom and dad, my oldest sister, used to travel around regionally and sing as a trio. And then I came along, and so I kind of got added in as just here and there. And then my dad was singing in a quartet I started playing bass guitar for when I was 7 years old. And I kind of worked. I sang a few songs and played the bass. And of course, at that time, my voice was real high. And so I loved Archie Watkins. So I loved to sing Archie's songs, the inspirations, absolutely. And so then when I turned 14, my voice started changing. And so I started singing lead in the quartet. So that was my very first quartet I started singing in. And so I sang there for a number of years. And then when I was 18 years old, I joined a group called the Gerald Payne family out of Candler there in North Carolina. Spent a couple of years there. And that's kind of where I ran into Eldridge Fox Herbie singing and with the Kingsmen. And he called me and asked me if I'd be interested in being a part of the Kingsmen Quartet. And so I was there for, came along about 83, 84, somewhere around in there. And then I left them in 89. And actually, I took a year off. My dad got sick, and he had a business there in Asheville. And so I felt like I should go home and make sure everything was okay and take care of that for a little while. And then after he kind of got settled and back, I started singing with Squire Parsons, and I sang with Squire for about 5 years. And Squire and Ernie Phillips and Joe Fowler, we had a great time there for about 5 years. And then I came here in 95, and so that's pretty much the history in a nutshell over there.
Rest of the story then, that's right.
That's it.
You mentioned a lot of really great pioneers of gospel music, and as I said, I grew up, my dad, he was a pastor, but when Daddy went through a little time of transition himself, he joined a group called the Hymn Masters. They were a little quartet down in South Georgia and regional sort of influence. But Daddy loved that music, and he just, growing up in his household, I listened to the same CDs. And my brothers didn't catch the bug. I did. But I just loved the inspirations, loved Eldridge Fox, Kingsman, growing up with these older groups of statesmen. Yeah. I actually went to the funeral of Big Chief Jim Weatherington. I have a memory of it. I was 9 years old in Atlanta, Georgia. My dad was an associate pastor there at D4, and Big Chief's funeral was held at a church near his church we was at, and he took me to that funeral, and that memory's always with me, and still stay in touch with his daughter a little bit. But Arthur, it just seems to me that this legacy of gospel music, it's not so much it's changing. I don't hope it's not being eradicated right now, but it just seems that, to me, the influence of it, we don't want it to lose. I don't want to lose this legacy, because these songs, they're soul songs. I've been in the church all my life, and I've been told by people, they love the worship courses. This is not about a genre thing, but a lot of this new music, it touches your head. But I will tell you, man, this Southern gospel music that is written by some anointed writers, and they knew God. It wasn't just they sang about God. Right. They knew God, and they wrote songs like that. And it's a soul thing to me. It touches this right here, and that's when you know a song is anointed.
It is, and that's the thing with our our hymns. We don't like the hymns because they're old. They're great songs. I mean, yes, they are. If you think about it, we learned a lot of our church doctrine from the hymns that we sang. And, that doesn't take away from our pastors and preachers, but we learned a lot of church doctrine, just precept upon precept, line upon line, just repeating that. And, we don't have as much of that anymore. And part of it is kind of, life is a circle. And so every decade you have a different kind of way you think, well, I got to do something to fit in right here. I mean, everybody, if I think back, to the late 60s, the late 70s, late 80s, late 90s, there was a change, but it always came back to the basics of what Southern gospel music is about. And it's the message of Christ.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And look, that to me is what music's supposed to be about. And look, I'm not just saying this because you're a guest on my show. I've listened to you guys, and you guys got some gasoline on you. I mean, and when I say that, I mean the gasoline of the Holy Spirit. They're very anointed. And look, I'm not going to sit here and be naive about it. I know that there's nothing perfect. And I know even the Southern gospel industry, I've noticed sometime of a trend in the last decade that, some of the groups are going more contemporary. And I've always felt like that was a mistake. I just feel like that, because we try to quote unquote change with the times, and we think, well, if we'll change with the times, people will follow us. I disagree.
Right.
I think you stay with your roots and let the people follow you there, because that's where as you beautifully said it. You mentioned the hymns. There's some churches that have just taken the hymn books completely out, and they just think it's some relic. That, my God, we're in bondage if we're singing a hymn. I disagree. I think those hymns, they minister to a group of people that are the backbone of your church. Nothing against these young folks, these young whippersnappers. And look, I get that we gotta look for the next generation. But I tell you what, that next generation, if a snowflake falls on a Sunday morning, turns over in their bed and don't come to church, these old folks like me and you, we were taught to be faithful, and we just came, period. We come when it's snowing, raining, whatever. And I think that the church has made a bad mistake trying to move on from that.
Well, it's the consistency is what people are looking for. And I think if we stay consistent with what we're doing, there's some, don't get me wrong, there's some great music being written.
Absolutely.
There's some great music being written. And I love doing new material. I mean, we do a new album just about every year of new songs, and you have to have that. But I think with the consistency of what you're doing, then people can count on, well, they're going, when I go see them, I know what I'm gonna get. I'm not gonna wonder, okay, what am I going to get this time? And so that's kind of where, I'm too old.
Trust me, I understand that totally right now. I didn't understand that 25, 30 years ago. I thought, my dad was some old fogey. I've realized Dad had a lot more wisdom as I've gotten where, when you get older, you look back on your parents and like, well, they were smart, wasn't they? They were a lot smarter.
That's right. The older we get, the smarter they were.
Absolutely, my buddy. Let me ask you a little bit about the group. Have you written songs? I know that you sing a lot, but do you write some of the songs yourself that y'all sing?
I've written, a couple of songs, but nothing really. I tried to write songs years ago. I started thinking, well, maybe I could write a song, and I just, I never could kind of get the knack for it. And I decided a long time ago. I said, well, there's a lot of great writers that are writing these songs. They're going to have somebody to sing it. Right. So I just decided back a long time ago, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. It's not something that God is giving, not a gift that God has given me. And so I just kind of stuck to singing them. And but we do, Dennis, our drummer, has become a great writer over the past several years. And in fact, the very first song that he wrote that we recorded, I think it was in 2009, was the song of the year. I mean, it was BMI's most played song for 2009 on radio. I mean, that was his first one, so he didn't have anywhere to go but down after that. but no, I'm just kidding. I'm telling you, he's become just a great songwriter, and so he does a lot of stuff.
People may not, because people that know the Southern gospel industry know this, but there's a lot of people out here, and I told you this too, that my audience, we're cutting their teeth. We're cutting their baby teeth on Southern gospel music. A lot of them have never heard Southern gospel before, and I've had, the number of people that, been in church 20, 30 years, and say, I've never heard this kind of music, and it blesses them. And I think that, this new generation is good that we can, we take it for granted that everybody's heard it. I did. I thought everybody heard this stuff, and they haven't. But it's a grind. I don't think people understand. It's tough. My dad didn't do this full time, but even part time, he would tell me often how it was tough on him physically because of the travel. You're in a strange city every night. You don't know what atmosphere you're going to get to in churches. Some churches are wonderful. They'll welcome you, great spirit. And he said, there's some churches, it's like singing, they would have been better off to sing to the bus. They'd have been better off than to sing to the church, because they just stare a hole at you and say amen, somebody, and there's nothing but silence. And he says, let me say that again. Walmart shopper, say amen, somebody. But tell everybody a little bit about how you've been on the road 27 years. It's a tough journey, isn't it? This is not something that y'all do as a hobby. This is your calling. It's a calling.
It is, and it really is. I mean, you got to really be called to do it. I mean, if you don't, and your family has to be called to do it too, because they're the ones that really make the sacrifices.
That's absolutely right.
We are very fortunate to be able to spend the biggest part of our time in one place, and that's Dollywood. And if anybody understands your point to people who have been in church for 20, 30 years, never heard this music, we understand that, because that's what we love about being at the park, is the fact that we have so many people that come into Dollywood that have never heard our music, and they'll come into our program just because it's a program.
That's right.
And and it's air conditioned. So they come in and sit down, and we just kind of slide Jesus right behind the back door right there, and they don't realize it, And but you're exactly right. We get that every day. People come up and they say, "Man, I've been in church all my life, and I have never heard of this music." And they, so it's a twofold opportunity for us that God has given us to present our music to a different generation, new people every day, but also to be able to share Christ and to be able to share hope, because everybody that comes in that building is going through something. Everybody, everybody is looking for hope, and that's what our message brings, is hope.
Yeah, y'all do, and it shines. It does. It shines through. And you're right. You don't know, and especially with y'all, because that is a theme park, and all people come in. Yeah. It's not just like. Well, go ahead.
We decided years ago. It would be real easy to put a program together that would just sing people happy, make them tap their feet or clap their hands, and just some little ditty songs to go on. But we decided years ago, you know what, God gave us this opportunity, and we're not going to squander it. And so we pick songs that are biblically correct. We pick songs that actually have some meat to them, and that will actually minister to people and to encourage people. And so we're very careful about now. We try to do it in an entertaining way, and we have fun. We like that. We love having fun. We want people to enjoy that.
Absolutely.
And but when they're in an atmosphere of enjoyment, their guard comes down, and you're able to minister to them. You're able to slip a song in that really lifts their spirit, or really encourages them, or even draws them to Christ.
That's true.
I had a lady came up to me this past weekend, in fact, and she said her sister was in Jehovah's Witness, never been to a gospel concert ever, and she came to Dollywood with some friends, and they wanted to go into the concert. Well, she came in, she sat through the program, she was saved that day.
Praise God.
And 2 weeks later, she passed away.
My goodness.
So I was just, that to God be the glory. That's just a tremendous testimony for what God can do, and how He works.
Absolutely. But I tell you that, and that's an eternal soul that you can't bring back, and eternity has got one in heaven because of that. Just that. That's powerful. Yeah. And it's funny, and that's where this is where it hurts me with the church, Arthur, because it seems like there's such an effort to push this music out, and it's like that the highways and the byways that Jesus talked about. You all are in Dollywood. I believe what y'all are doing is the highways and byways. I do. I mean, because y'all will reach an audience. Most of these churches would never dream, because that Jehovah's Witness,
right?
They would never go to a regular church, and they would have never heard that had they not heard you guys there. And I do want to ask you a couple of questions just about the group in general. I know y'all have not had a really big turnout, and I've watched you through the years, and I've been in Tennessee since 1999, so it's almost been 22 years, 23 years for me here. And I noticed y'all pretty much have stayed the same, and that's a testimony to your group. I know you've had some changes through the years. I mean, people come and go.
Right.
But y'all have pretty much kept a core group. I know your bass singer, he's a real fun guy. I love his bass singing, and he's just great. But y'all have kept a core group together through the years, haven't you?
We have. We've been, very fortunate. Part of that has to do with the fact that we don't travel that much. When I first came, with the group. Dollywood had just actually started doing the Christmas season. Up until that point, the group was traveling about 6 months on the road and 6 months at the park. Then we kind of transitioned to about 7 months there at Dollywood, and now we're up to 9 months there at Dollywood. So we only travel about 6 weeks in the wintertime now. So that has something to do with it. The fact that we don't have to get out there and beat the road. I've done it, and I don't really would like to go back and do it again all the time. Yeah. I love sleeping in my old bed at night. I'm sure. And that right there has been a big factor. And I think, a lot of people stay, our folks staying and being able to watch their kids grow up. And I tell you, man, these groups out there on the road, it is a sacrifice, and it's a sacrifice for you miss a lot of, like I said, I did it for many years with the Kingsman and Squire, and you miss a lot of family things because you're always singing whenever when most family events happen, or on the weekends usually. And so most of the time you're out singing. So you miss birthday parties and anniversaries and get-togethers and cookouts and watching the kids play ball and all that kind of stuff. You miss that stuff. And I tell you, it's a tough life. It really is.
I bet it is. How did it come about that you became head over the Southern Gospel Music Association? And that, I guess is that a national organization, or is just here locally?
It is.
That's over the whole country?
It's a national organization.
Right.
Yes. We, under the umbrella of the Southern Gospel Music Association, is most of Southern Gospel music. And that is a broad umbrella nowadays. I served on the board for several years, and with the Hall of Fame being at Dollywood, it was kind of convenient for me to kind of be on the board and kind of be able to be around the museum and kind of watch the day-to-day things and that sort of thing. And then I really wasn't. I had been approached several times to be president up till that point, and I just didn't feel the Lord leading that way. I wanted to let our other folks that were out on the road and that sort of thing kind of be involved as much as possible. And for some reason or other, I just felt like, well, that was the time, and so I accepted the nomination. And it was really at a time when our director stepped down. So, God knew what was coming. Nothing surprises God. So it just kind of worked out as a good timing thing. And then, of course, we were at Hollywood there for another 5 or 6 years, and then, of course, COVID came along.
Yes.
And kind of put the squelch on everything and the funds. And so Dollywood kind of lost the funding for our museum.
Wow.
And so they came to us and they said, well, we're going to have to ask you to leave. And so, and this is nothing against, listen, we could not have had anything without Dollywood. I mean, they just bent over backwards and just really did a wonderful job for us. But there's a season for things. And I was not upset. When they came to me, I really, honestly, just had total peace over it. I knew there was going to be a lot of work to move and maybe find somewhere else, but I just had total peace over it. God just gave me, I just was able to relax, and I didn't fret over it because I knew it didn't sneak up on Him, and I knew that whatever was next was going to be better. Wow. And so we're excited to announce that we have a new place.
You do.
And we just kind of signed the contract this past December, and we're working on moving into our new place. It's at Biblical Times Dinner Theater there in Pigeon Forge, and we're so excited about that. And we're excited about what we'll be able to do with the theater. And there's a restaurant right there on the premises, and so we're just really excited about what God is doing. I mean, we couldn't have. I was talking to Clark Beasley last night, and we were saying, we couldn't sit down and script out how this came together. We're not smart enough, but God is. and we're just grateful that he smiled on us, and it's just his favorite.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the biblical times. I was going to ask you to tell everybody that, and I'm glad you did. And folks, we got his website. We got Arthur's website, the SGMA.org. And right now, with like any transition, they're needing any kind of donations that the Lord will lay on your heart out there to do this afternoon. And, we're going to help them as well. And I'm grateful that, that you found a place, because this history, this legacy, Arthur, is something that we've just got to protect. I do. And it's not I'm going to make it clear. I don't look at Southern gospel like some holy grail. But I do look at it as it's the roots of the church, in the sense that you mentioned the hymns, the music, the Kingsmen, the Statesmen, J.D. Sumner. The list can go a million miles long. Squire Parsons, you mentioned Squire. He's not singing as much now. He's been, there's a lot of sickness has hit. This whole legacy that seems to be waning, and I'm thinking of a verse in 1 Samuel 4 where, Samuel wrote the statement. He said, "Ere the lamp of God go out in the temple of the Lord." And I look at this gospel music as light. I look at it like that Jehovah Witness got saved. What happened to that Jehovah Witness was because of light that was coming through these songs, and we can't let it go out. And that's why this SGMA is so important, because y'all are preserving something that when me and you are off this landscape, if the Lord tarries, unless we've got some kind of super juice in us, and I don't think either one of us does, in 50 years, me and Arthur Rice ain't going to be around, and that next generation will be. And they need to know this music. They need to. And that's how I feel about it. Am I pretty close on that assumption that we need to keep it for that reason?
Absolutely. And, people ask all the time, what is Southern gospel? And, it was kind of started in the South, and there's no, many people have tried to describe it, make a dissection of exactly what it is. And it really is hard to describe, but our music is really scripturally based.
Yes, it is.
And I think that's what, really describes what our music is it tries its best to convey the message of the scripture in a song format, and I think that kind of describes really what our music is.
What's your if I had to ask Arthur Rice, what's your top 5 all-time favorite songs that you've sang or you love? What would they be? Would there be a top 5 or a top 3 maybe that you just absolutely?
Oh, they would. Yeah, there has to be so many incredible songs, written through the years. Probably one of the best ones was a song called "Wedding Music." The Cathedral sang.
Yes,
it's a great song. If I go back to my youth, would be hearing the Happy Goodmans, hearing Vestal Goodman sing "The Holy Hills of Heaven." That's incredible. Song, just some great written songs. Recently, I guess probably some of my favorite that we have recorded, a song that was a number 1 song for us about 20 years ago that we still get requests to sing, is called a song called "Forever Changed," written by Marty Funderburk. And of course, I can't not mention Diane Wilkinson, who has written so many great songs for us. We've recorded over 70 songs of hers in the past. She just passed away just a few months ago.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And that's a writer that will be missed. I mean, she's written so many great songs. Like I guess one of my favorites that she wrote was called "What We Needed," that we recorded. Of course, she wrote several songs for the Cathedrals Quartet back then. "We Shall See Jesus." Great song Glenn Payne sang. I mean, there's a bunch of songs out there.
Yeah, and I guess everybody has their favorites, and y'all have done a great job. I have to tell you, somehow or another, I had come across your Carolina Live album that y'all did 3 or 4 years ago, man. And I tell you what, I got to tell you, I almost wrecked going down Kingston Highway because I'm just a worshiper. I put some song on the radio. McDonald here, I'll throw my hands up and people will drive by and say the guy ain't got his hands on the steering wheel. He's praising God. Put your hands on the steering wheel. I was having a Holy Ghost time, sort of, in my car going down Kingston Pike in Knoxville, and I was just crying and weeping. Man, the Lord was coming in that car over that album. And but that to me is, as you said, it's scripturally based, and the Lord anoints that music, Arthur. He anoints this music. He really does. Yeah. And I'm thanking God that the Southern Gospel Music Association is out there to preserve this legacy, because again, I don't want to see this legacy go out. I don't want to see this light go out, buddy. You don't know the number of people on Saturday night when we start around 7:00 and we wind up going 3 hours. And I'm going to tell you, those 3 hours feel like 45 minutes. I mean, it does. Wow. Because the Spirit of God has come in, and I'm watching the chat, and people are just worshiping, and they feel again. It's something that touches right here. And something that touches you here will leave you in a day. Right. You'll come in and you'll forget it. But when it touches your soul and it changes your life, and thinking of that Jehovah's Witness just makes me want to just cry right now, because, see, that dear soul is in heaven. And she's in heaven today because of this music and because of the testimony of Jesus that was on it. And it's so powerful. Tell me before we finish up with you, because I know you got to get going, and then we've enjoyed talking to you. We're going to have you back on again numerous times and get you back and talk about some other things.
Sure.
But walk us through a little bit, like when y'all were as a group, and you mentioned the songwriting and the song. When y'all put a CD or an album together, what does go into that? I mean, I know you don't. I don't know if y'all have your writers within the group, or do y'all look outside sources? But what goes on when y'all actually put a CD together as a Southern Gospel group?
Well, we're very fortunate. We have a lot of different writers send us music. We have certain writers that we, like Diane, that we kind of go to and say, hey, I'm looking for this type of song, or if I need an up-tempo song, or I need something that features the bass and the tenor, or that sort of thing. I get probably hundreds of songs that I go through, kind of weeding down until I let the rest of the guys to kind of hear. We'll pick probably 30 songs, and then we'll listen to them and kind of weed those down to kind of get 11 songs. And there's many times, we like, man, we could cut all 20 of these, and be great. But we can't get that many on the album.
Right.
So, first of all, we pick songs that touch us. They have to speak to us before they can speak to anybody else.
That's right.
That's right. And so, we try to pick, and it's funny how we really don't ever say, well, this is the direction we want this album to go, and this is the theme of this album that we want to go. But it always seems like the Lord kind of works us in that direction, time it's over with. And so we're just grateful that God smiles on us and loves us and puts up with us in spite of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was saying that the other night. I said, I hear this sometimes people will say something like, the fact, I know some things about you. And I'm like, well, God knows everything about me, and he still loves me. So it's all right, Right. And but anyway, right. So it's all right if they do know some things, because God knows it all, and thank God that he does, because he's okay. Right. Look, he covers us when he knows everything. And I got a picture of the group up here and so forth. And folks, I do encourage you this afternoon. We're going to play a song of theirs going out that has been just a favorite of mine lately. This I Can Tell You the Time. And but there's Arthur in the group. Your bass singer, what's his name?
Jeff Chapman.
You tell Jeff, and I got to meet him at the Praise Fest. He's the best singer in the world now. I'm telling you, y'all have got the best. I've heard a lot of bass singers through the years, and but when I listen to him, he knows how to hit that. There's just something special about bass singers and tenor singers. That tenor can go high, but that bass is like the anchor of a ship. It just anchors everything, don't it? He's got that. That gift.
That's right.
Now, y'all,
and that's that is the fun thing about quartet music. It's fun. It really is fun to sing. I mean, there's nothing in the world like it. I mean, it's just when you hit that chord and all four parts are just on, and it's just there really is just nothing to compare it to. a little bit of heaven on this side.
It is. Now, your lovely wife Tammy, she helps you
Yes.
with the SGMA, don't she? Because she's the one I
She-
met when I joined the group. I joined the organization. So
She kind of got drafted into the administration part of it. she was like, I'm telling you, I don't know what we do without her. I really do. I can't find my socks without her.
I understand that.
Folks, but I'm telling you, man, she is a worker, buddy. She is just when she devotes herself to something, buddy, it's 100%, and she just does a fantastic job.
I guess as a group, and this is another thing people probably don't. And I've always wondered about this through the years. You gotta like each other. There has to be a chemistry. And I know that when you'll bring new guys in, I know the night y'all were at First Baptist of Sevierville, and y'all had just y'all were at Praceville. Y'all had just brought a young man on, and
That's
y'all
right.
were exclaiming about him. And it's like a baseball. I look at quartets like I do a baseball team. You can have the most talented person out there, but if their personality is sort of narcissistic, toxic, it don't care how talented they are. If they don't mesh with the other group, it can create a mess. And it's sometimes you got to find that mix, don't you? You got to find talent. You don't want to not be able to sing, but you also got to find that personality and that spirit that's willing to work within a group, because this is a quartet music's not like solo. You got to work in the confines of each other, and you got to sort of work together, like you said. It's harmony. It's what I guess is what I'm looking for. You got to have harmony.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it really is, because we spend a lot of time. I mean, honestly, we spend as much time together as we do our family.
I wouldn't doubt that.
In a day's time, we work 4 days a week, and we do 3-4 programs a day. So normally, we're there 7 or 8, 6-7 hours a day together, and so we're together as much as a family is. So you've got to get along, and there have been times when just because, like you said, just because they're a great singer, it just did quite chemistry, just did click, and so we're very fortunate to have good guys. We love each other. We love getting, sometimes we're steel on steel, sharpening each other. We're just like family, but that's part of it. You know what I mean? We're just sharpening each other.
Let me tell you something. My dad was in a group, and again, they didn't even do this full time, and I would sit in on some of their little discussions, and they would just rag on each other pretty bad. And then it was all in fun. It was all in love. It was like family. I mean, look, you can talk about me all you want to, but don't talk about my brother.
That's right.
I can call my brother a lot of names, but don't you call him that. I'll call him that. And I think that's
right.
needed, with this camaraderie, and it's really how the body of Christ should be, Arthur. If you get down to it,
Absolutely
the body
it
of
is.
Christ
That's
should
exactly.
be like this. We should be the same way. That we love each other, and even we may have to rag on each other from time to time and get in each other's face, because we're family. But we're going to love each other, and we don't let the world mess with our family, do we?
That's right. That's right.
It's good stuff. But it's been great to have you this afternoon. I'm going to play a song. I'm going to play this. I can tell you the time. I want you to stay with me, and then after we play this song, I'm going to give you a final thought or two. Give me, if you don't mind, can I play this song and let people hear this, because they're this afternoon? And I'm going to find it here on our screen, and we're just grateful and that you were able to come with us this afternoon. I've been looking forward to this, and been trying to get it worked out for a while, and I'm grateful that we got you today on this Wednesday afternoon. And they've heard this song, because they know this is one of McDonald's favorites out there, so they're going to hear it again. And you need to say amen out there. I'm going to come out there in the chat room and get on you there. But no, seriously. Here is Arthur Rice and the Kingdom Heirs, and I can tell you the time. Listen to the song, folks.
Here's another old song that you'll recognize. I remember the time when in darkness I wandered on the mountain of sin. I traveled so long, like the prodigal son, all my good sad squandered. But the Savior
forget when you spoke to me gently in the fountain of life. There's a balm for your soul. So I heeded his voice. He was speaking intently through his marvelous grace. I am happy and whole. Well, I can tell you now the time.
I can tell you the time.
I can take you to the place.
Show you the place where the Lord saved me.
Where the Lord saved me by his wonderful grace. Well, I cannot tell you how. And I cannot tell you why.
He will tell me all about it.
Tell me all about it in the by and by. I can tell you all about it.
I can tell you the time.
I can take you to
I can show you the place where the Lord saved me. Where the Lord saved me by his wonderful grace. By his wonderful grace.
well, I cannot tell you how. And I cannot tell you why.
He will tell me all. He will tell me all about it in the by and by. He will tell me all about it in the by Oh, do you like that kind of singing right here?
I can tell you now the time.
I can tell you the time.
I can take you to
I can show you the place where the Lord saved me. Oh, by his wonderful grace, by his wonderful grace. Going no matter how, and no matter why, he will tell me all. He will tell me all about it in the by and by. He will tell me all about it in the
And that's all I can say. That's some good old singing. Now, that's some good singing right there. And
That's singing right
that
there.
leading boys was this man right here, Arthur, man. That's some good stuff. That's become one of my favorite songs. And we're actually recording that ourselves. I will not sound as good as Arthur doing it, trust me. But it's good stuff. But I'm so tickled. We have a Southern saying, we're tickled pink. Well, we're tickled to have you today. And I've enjoyed this conversation with you. I really have, and I hope we get to see you out on the road, and I'll come over to the park and see you guys soon. And March the 12th, you said, is when y'all get back at it at Dollywood, right?
Yep.
And
Hey, we're going to be in Harriman this Sunday.
this Sunday, okay?
This Sunday afternoon
Sunday. We're at here.
at the Princess Theater.
Okay.
If you're free, it's in the afternoon, so it doesn't mess up church before or after.
Okay.
So you
That
can
sounds
come,
good.
grab some lunch, and come over to the Princess Theater.
If I was in town, I'd do it. I would do it. Maybe next time. I'll be out of town this weekend, but I will see you on the road. Though I'll be following y'all, and I do encourage our folks this afternoon, folks. And I've been watching the chat. They've loved you to death. This has been food for the soul for many of them this afternoon to get a little insight to this whole legacy of what's going on, and I'm grateful for that.
Wow.
But the SGMA.org, folks, is the website, and if you want to help this organization, and you can join, you can become a member. I did back in November when I was over there. Actually, I was at the regular quartet convention. I did in September, and you all can join and make a monthly contribution, and if you see fit, and if the Lord lays something on your heart to help them, because they are going through a transitional time, and folks, anytime you move from one place to the other, there's always cost involved, and please help them with that. And then if you want to get some great gospel music, kingdomairs.com, and order their CDs. Now, I want you to do me a favor. If y'all order something, send him a note and say, Arthur, we heard you today on the McFiles, and I'm sure he'll appreciate that, and I will too. And thank y'all for being such a great audience. But I'm going to give you 5 minutes to wrap us up. Final thoughts, man. And we're grateful to have you today.
Well, we're just grateful, grateful to the Lord for His opportunity that He's given us. We just pray that we can continue to be faithful in His calling and faithful in what He would have us do, and that's all of our prayers, that we're faithful where He puts us, that we bloom where He plants us.
That's it.
And my pastor that I grew up with in Nashville used to preach that message: bloom where you planted. And that's, we all have our different fields that God has kind of sprinkled us in, and that's our goal, is to bloom, to be a light to other people. And we're not always perfect, and we can mess up, but God loves us anyways, and that's where we can share.
That's right.
It's our faults. It's our when we go through things in our lives, and that's when we can show God's love, is when we mess up and we do what we know we're not supposed to do. We can still show that God loves us and cares for us, and that's where that's what we'll do. Show Christ's love.
That's so true, and that I think sums up the ministry of the Kingdom Heirs Quartet, and it sums up Arthur Rice, buddy. And I'm going to say this to you, and I've told our people this the other night. Look, I know how things are out there, and I know there's a lot of people, even in Southern gospel industry. All music is the same way. That there's a lot of people that sing about a God and they sing about a Christ that they themselves, they may be singing about him, but they don't know.
Right.
And
right.
it's just life, and that's just the way, unfortunately, people are and life is. But I can tell you all this afternoon, I've met Arthur, and I know this group, and I've watched them. And when I watch them sing, they're singing about a Christ they know. These people know the Lord, and their music reflects it. They reflect it, and they're just good, solid people. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate what y'all had brought to my life, listening to your music through the years. And it's just been such an honor to have you on the show today. And I hope it ain't the last time. I know it won't be on my end. And I'm grateful, and give Tammy my best. And thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Folks, you've been watching Special McFiles Faith Chat this afternoon. We've been talking with Arthur Rice. He's the president of the Southern Gospel Music Association and the head of the Kingdom Heirs. Not a bad lead singer, Rice. I'll give you a 10 and a half, 11 on that lead on that song, man. I was getting ready to start shouting and turn the camera back on and have church right here. We had Wednesday church right here. We wouldn't have to go to Wednesday midweek service. But anyway, folks, we're not over tonight. If you're on the Faith Network, on our McFiles Faith Network now, at 8 o'clock tonight, we will be having our Wednesday midweek fellowship, our online service, and we'll be teaching on the book of Revelation tonight, as we've been doing for the several weeks. And so be with us there. We'll pray for the sick and do some other things. That's on our Faith Network at 8 o'clock tonight. And we'll probably play a few Kingdom Heirs songs for you. So come on back, and we'll play some more music for you tonight. Arthur Rice, everybody. Put some fire in that house for him. We'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock. And Arthur, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. God bless.
Thank you, Chris.
And folks, we'll see you at 8 o'clock tonight on the McFiles Faith Network. We're going to have a little outro here, and then we'll see you tonight at 8. Hang on just a second. Let me get this screen to change for me. There we go. And I should have, well, he's pretty aware since it's live television. Things never work. Here we go.